Over the course of a decade, a Midwestern motorcycle club evolves from a gathering place for local outsiders to a sinister gang threatening the original group's way of life. I do want to talk about the story first because it's formatted in a nice and unique way since it's based off the novel of the same name by Danny Lyon, who actually joined this club, which is the Chicago Vandals, and he basically fully immersed himself with them and he basically interviewed people from the club. He took pictures of the Chicago Vandals and he basically turned this all into a book. And basically the main person that he interviewed was actually Kathy, who wasn't really a member of this club. She was a wife to Benny, which was one of the main members and one of the main stars of this one. And I always love a good interview styled story. We don't really get those that often nowadays, and I really thought this one was nice because it was a nice surprise. Spans out during the 1960s, during the club's rise to power and their eventual downfall. And I thought that it actually placed us right into the 60s very well. I felt really immersed in this atmosphere, the bikers atmosphere. I really did like it, really like how it opened up. It really did feel like we were there with some actual, practical sets and all. They're actually on location. So I really did like the story here. I thought it was formatted really well. Probably the biggest surprise of the movie for me. One of the funniest things about this movie, though, was it had a lot of release issues. Like this movie, The Bikeriders, was screened all the way at Telluride Film Festival back in August 2023. So August last year, almost a year, basically a year from now. And just like 2 months, in 2 months, it will be a year since this screened all the way in Telluride. And it was actually supposed to come out December 1st last year, but Disney and 20th Century, who were its distributors at that time, pulled it during the SAG strike, the actor strike, and they eventually dropped the film as a whole. They basically just didn't want it anymore. I'm not really sure why. I still question why that happened because it's a good movie, I will say, but it's interesting how they dropped it because it seems like a 20th Century movie. But then Focus Features, they picked it up, they now have it, and it's now finally being released after almost a year being screened at that film festival, which is crazy, man. This film had a lot of release issues. The first trailer came out like 6 or 7 months ago. It's been a long wait for this one. I know some people have been really waiting for it. I was kind of mid on my expectations. This movie, I will say, is not what I was expecting at all, because I honestly expected it to be a more energetic movie and kind of just have a lot of energy with these scenes, have a lot of action with these characters fighting. But there is some fights between a lot of these characters, a lot of these bikers, but it's kind of just a really grounded and calm story about these bikers, hanging out together, protecting each other from people, other clubs who get in their way. It's about these people who become friends from hanging out just on their bikes, hanging out at the bar and all that. This is basically what this is about. And I will say I ended up liking it, but I wish I liked it a little bit more. I think it could have benefited from some bigger scenes, some maybe more energetic scenes here, but I get what they were going for. And I think it could have also benefited from a shorter runtime, because even at 2 hours, I still found it to lose a lot of momentum at the start of the third act. Like, I really did like the first half. The second half, I feel like slowed down to a halt. Then it had some emotional moments. Then the third act and then the ending of the film didn't really, keep me really engaged. Didn't really make me like say, oh, I want to go watch that again. So, because when I go to movies, I like to see if I want to watch it again by the end, see if there's more to watch. But right here, I think it's kind of a one and done, but maybe on physical media, I'll pick it up if it's on sale. Let's get to our cast, though. First, we have Jodie Comer as Kathy. This movie is kind of narrated by her, as I said, and she's being interviewed by Mike Faist, who plays the writer of the book, Danny Lyon. So you get that. That's basically kind of like the opening of the movie. I did like her a lot, and I have always thought for a while that Jodie is a very underrated actress, and I thought she deserved a lot more praise for The Last Duel. I thought she was amazing in that movie. Very underrated movie there. And I will say that Jodie Comer, she's good here, kept me engaged in her emotional moments, but her accent, like her Illinois Chicago accent, was really distracting and kind of took me out of the film, because I'm not one to judge this accent because I don't really live in Chicago, but I don't think it was very good in my opinion. I don't think the Chicago accent annoys me personally. I think it's just how Jodie was doing it, and it's just not her normal accent. I mean, they could have, I don't know if I would say I wish she just talked like normally, like just no accent at all. I don't really know how I feel about that, because I do know she has an accent in real life, so I don't know if she should have gone with her regular accent, no accent, or still this accent. I will say it is a distracting accent though. Every time she started talking, I was like, Jesus, this doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like those words are actually, the accent should be coming in her mouth. But I will say Jodie Comer, it was good in here, the accent though. I don't think it was needed there. Then you have Austin Butler as Benny. This is Kathy's love interest and the bike rider that we see first in the movie. Basically, the movie starts in a bar with him sitting in there. People get mad at him for wearing his colors, which are what the jackets are called. You know, they don't like his colors, which means they don't really like where he's from. His club, the Vandals, and which ends where they start fighting, and then it leads up to a very funny title card. I think it's one of my favorite, you know, title cards of the year. It's very good. One of the highlights of the movie for me. You know, Benny is the troublemaker of the group, I would say. He always gets in trouble with the cops. You have scenes in here where he's running from the cops, running through lights and all that. Crashes a lot, gets injured, and there, let's just say Austin, I mean, if I want to be honest about Austin's performance, I think he has like the most aura in the cast in this one. Even when he isn't saying something, you see what he means. He means business. He just wants to be on this, you know, club, wants to just talk to his friends and all that. And if anyone tries to get in his way, he will beat them up. I also did want to mention that Norman Reedus is also in the cast, and you know, a pretty small role. I wish we got more of him because he was also one of my favorite parts of the movie. He had some gnarly teeth, some gnarly hair. Like, he looked absolutely in here. His character is even called Funny Sonny because he is actually kind of funny in this one. I think Norman Reedus, I wish he was in a lot more movies because after the Walking Dead's kind of finished though, so hopefully he gets to show up in more because I think he always had some great energy to movies, and I thought he had some really good energy to this one. Then probably the last main standout for me was Tom Hardy as Johnny, who was the leader and the founder of the Vandals Club. What I love about Tom Hardy is that he always goes for the craziest voices. And honestly, in all of his films, you can really never understand 100% of what this guy's saying. But I think he still was my favorite part of the cast. Like, some scenes I was like, bro, what are you saying? Like, I only understood like 80% of what he's saying because his accent is so crazy. But I will say he was like the MVP for me. I also liked how everyone respected Johnny, you know, because he's the leader. And if you wanted to change in the club, you would challenge Johnny. Like, there's some scenes here when people want to challenge him and he's like, fists or knives, because they're gonna like fight it out until like one of them yields and all that. There's some great scenes in there. If you want to enter the club, you had to ask Johnny, and there were some interesting scenes with that I like. You know, he had all the authority. People were really scared of him for some time. You know, people were scared of him because the club was so small. And then there's, you know, some scenes where the club gets even bigger, club gets bigger, and all that. You have all the new people. Then it's like that thing in real life when you have so many people in one group, no one is like following the rules. The leader can't control everyone. That's basically how the film evolves in the second half. So it's kind of interesting to see how that involves. And, you know, I will say this film will be catering to dads. You know, if it's catered to anyone, I think dads and bikers overall will really enjoy this film. Not to really stereotype bikers into liking a film called The Bikeriders. I just think that makes a lot of sense. You know, I think bikers are going to like it. It makes bikers like look cool, makes you want to go out and buy a bike, get your friends to hang out at a bar with you. It's actually really cool how it works. You know, I saw it at the Regal Mystery movie where you don't know what it is. A lot of people walked out because there were a lot of girls and all that. I don't know what they're expecting, but it is like a kind of a guy-centric movie, but I think some girls might still like it. But overall, I found The Bikeriders to be good, not great. It honestly was very different from what I expected. You know, it was cool, calm, and collected for the most part, and it loses a little bit of steam for me during the third act, but I thought the performances were really good, and I think that the film will do pretty well on digital and streaming platforms, but I still enjoyed it, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. So leave your thoughts down below in the comments if you did see it, but make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.